Hey tankers, and welcome back to World of Tanks with PR154, and today we are on Corellia following Tigergirl20 of the Great Southern Land Clan in the premium tier 8 British versatile medium tank, the Centurion Mark V. Now this is probably the superior Centurion variant at tier 8 in my opinion, and in many others' opinions as well. While it doesn't quite have the power to weight ratio of the bog standard Centurion Mark I, what it does have is a substantially beefed up upper frontal plate. I think you get 76 millimeters of upper frontal plate on the standard Centurions. You get 120 millimeters on Centurion 5.1, which makes this an extremely forgiving tank to operate in its optimal fighting position, that is, hull down using its 10 degrees of gun depression and its more than adequate turret. And we're going to see this turret in particular used to fantastic effect later in this game. Now we can see a little bit of argy-bargy developing here between Tucknot and Tigergirl. They're in a platoon together. They're also in a little bit more than that together. I'm not quite sure what he said. I'm not quite sure if he deserved it, but I'll leave that between them. Rolling into the hills here, it's worth noting that they are bottom tiered, so playing to the roll is going to be super important here. First encounter here is the 121B, where a tracking injury has locked this 121B in place, and right in front of the Astron Rex and its 5-shot autoloader, and that's allowing Tucknot to just start stripping hit points off this off the 121B, and between them send it back to the garage. Hanging around for that engagement, unfortunately, we've taken an ammo racking injury from the K91 PT, repaired that in short order, as is sensible to do with these British medium tanks. Swing and a miss against K91 PT, but fortunately this is where it's in a little bit of a vulnerable position. The frontal armour of K91 PT below the casemate is not that great, so you certainly want to take any and all opportunities to start putting shots into that wherever you can. But we're having and as we can see, with that upper casemate, your chances of penetration start to deteriorate quite rapidly. K91 PT bouncing a lot of shells off the top of Centurion 5.1 with its standard ammunition. It gets 258 millimeters of penetration with its standard ammunition, so that's probably not quite going to cut it against a Centurion Mark V fighting from a hull down position. Although neither is the premium ammunition on the Centurion 5.1, which we're seeking, can get up to 258 millimeters as well. But unfortunately, we're just not seeing anywhere near as many weak spots as we need to. But for our efforts in the face of the rather large alpha damage of the K91 PT and its high rate of fire, and we're even bouncing the 315 millimeters of penetration from its APCR shells, we're starting to trend towards over 4,000 damage blocked, and heading on for 5,000. So we're really going for pinpoint accurate shots here on the cupola of K91 PT, and struggling to connect and make a difference here. But that doesn't mean to say it's impossible, as we can see there. The other weak point, other than the lower frontal plate, which certainly the FV4005 from the backline has been able to find with that really brash and possibly not all that well thought out push by K91 PT. There is a maybe we can even pause this. There is a subtle armor change here in K91 PT, which that normalizes the armor slightly, and you can take advantage and penetrate that as well if you've got enough oomph in the gun. The IS-32 appears to be standing alone there at the moment, so where it's probably not sensible for Tigergirl to push it at this stage. It is, after all, a full hit point heavy tank. It's not preventing Tigergirl from just trying to look for any weak points possible. but we're continuing to bounce from these enemy vehicles. But it would appear the IS-32 is firing high explosive shells, just unable to make anything else work in this particular situation. Tucknot points out that IS-32 is firing high explosive, and they have a reasonable chance of success if they are to push it. So we're just waiting for the opportune moment. So that's fired, and enemies tend to be at their most vulnerable immediately after they've fired. It's quite possibly loosed its second shot in a state of impatience, and the IS-32 is one of the double-barreled tanks, so it operates a bit like an auto reloader. So forcing it to do a deep magazine dive will greatly deteriorate its damage per minute. Unfortunately, the IS-32 appears to be looked after from afar by a Waffenträger Ausführung Panzer IV that's managed to knock out Tucknot in the Astron Rex. But fortunately, Tigergirls had some other support in this engagement, with both the tank destroyers moving up as well. Looking around, the team is now at about a 5,000 hit point advantage. There were some rather questionable plays made by enemy vehicles that are quite hull down capable, but for their own reasons have decided to sort of push out along what's very much a brawling and side-scraping corridor. It's really not best use of role or function of those vehicles, and the enemy team appears to be paying a rather steep price for that sort of misjudgment. From here, we've got virtually unassailed here with flanking shots going towards the VK7501K. Looks like there was a little bit of intervening hard cover along the way, but nothing that couldn't be handled. This just leaves a couple of tank destroyers left on the back line, while the heavy tanks are still very much outclassed and outnumbered here in the valley. But there are at least 2 tank destroyers that we know about that are occupying the top of the hill. Not quite sure what's happening with the rest of them. And even more shots bounce, this time from the Waffenträger Ausführung Panzer IV. This is probably not the most sensible scenario to push in, so we'll keep side-scraping and playing against this hard cover for now. Unfortunately, the Stridsvagn 103B has joined the fight. It's probably not going to remain a sustainable position there for Tigergirl to keep playing that angle against that sort of damage per minute and power potential out of the enemy vehicles. On the opposite flank, the enemy appear to have lost the T26E5, leaving just one heavy tank. There's a GSAW 1008 that is now tried to pull around, but is subject to flanking fire as well. Speaking of fire, looks like Tigergirl's been able to start one in the process as well. So it's all starting to come together for this particular team. They're just trying to close the net around an enemy that unfortunately just lost a lot of hit points due to some really questionable plays. I mean, some of those vehicles, such as K91PT or 121B, might have been just a hell of a lot happier sort of rolling their way through and being able to fight from this hill area, whereas they just got into a lot of trouble fighting up here, while the tanks that maybe should have been playing hull down have ended up on the opposite flank. I'm not quite sure what was going through the enemy's mind on that particular occasion, but it certainly paid off here for Tigergirl20 of the Great Southern Land Clan. Bouncing even more damage again, this time from the Stridsvagn 103B. We're trending towards 6,000 hit points blocked. which is quite an honourable achievement for a Tier 8 vehicle in a Tier 10 matchup. We're trying to get up and support the RAAC. Not really sure what happened to that last shot towards the Stridsvan 103B. It has disappeared on us, but that's all right. No matter. They've been able to knock it out for the final enemy knocked out of the game. So let's take a look at those results. That is a well-deserved victory for Tigergirl20 of the GSL clan with the Ace Mastery badge for their efforts. And look at this absolute fistful of epic and battle heroes medals. We've got Cool Headed for surviving at least 10 ricochets and non-penetrations in a row. We've also picked up the Confederate medal for hitting more enemy vehicles than anyone else on the team, and that also has to be a minimum of 6. Crucially, we also have the Steel Wall medal for receiving the most hits of any player on the team with potential damage of at least 1,000 hit points. And have a look at this, 5,950 damage blocked. That's pretty epic. And if we have a look at this damage count, over 4,700 damage inflicted on enemy vehicles. And there's a decent spread of it too. Earlier in the game, we can see there's 3 shots have gone into the 121B. We've got the K91 PT that really copped it when the two vehicles were going at a bouncing loggerheads against each other. The 8 shots in total bounced off the K91 PT, which would have contributed quite heavily. In fact, it accounted for more than half of this number, and yet Tigergirl20 just kept going on and on after that. We've got the IS-32 that was also caught up in a bit of a flanking maneuver. It's received 4 hits as well. And then this late game trade with the Waffenträger Ausführung Panzer IV, playing to adequate role and position of the vehicle, has paid off very nicely for Tigergirl20 of the Great Southern Land Clan here today. Having a look at the team scores, we have a well-deserved top placement by experience points, which actually contributed towards one of the Excalibur Personal Campaign missions for placing top on experience. So very well done there. Otherwise, we still have some reasonable high scorers here between Hound in White and Gofod in the Sparpanzer RU251 with over 2,000 damage spotted and quite a reasonable haul of damage there as well. Honourable mention on the enemy team is Alexander of the Saints clan in the IS-4. Unfortunately, not quite able to carry the team this time around. Having a look at the detail report, Centurion 5.1 is a premium tank, and we can see there's quite reasonable credit earning potential available here. We're a little bit heavy on the consumables, and we had expended a fair bit of premium ammunition trying to punch through that K91 PT. So unfortunately, it wasn't the most profitable game going, but still. It's nice to come away from that sort of fight and still have the better part of 50,000 credits in your pocket. So very well done there by Tigergirl20 of the Great Southern Land Clan. And if you've got a replay that you'd like to share with the community, please reach out over Discord or any of the links below. I've got the general guidelines for community submissions in the About section on this YouTube channel, so please check it out. In the meantime, take care out there.